back to Swing for Contact Media. Today we are talking about our top pitchers going into the 2023 season. We're going to handle the starting pitchers first, go through our top 10 there, and then move over to our top 5 for the guys in the bullpen. Looking at number 10, a surprise entrant that I didn't even think was going to make it on here. But after looking at some other people's lists, I decided to go ahead and throw him on mine as well. Framber Valdez from the Houston Astros. This is not a homer pick for me because I had to convince myself to put him on my own list. The guy that really sold it for me was Noah. Noah, why Framber Valdez?
Man, his hair.
His hair.
I'm kidding. No. Didn't he set like the record for most quality starts or something?
Yeah, he had a quality start consecutive record, and then he actually took over DeGrom's record for amount in a year. So
yeah, well, DeGrom will get it back this year, but anyways, yeah, I think he was just pretty solid last year in Houston and helping them get a World Series title. He's still on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, he's in his second year of arbitration.
Like yeah. So I mean, having him and him being solid, I think that's good for Houston, and they're still paying him little. But I have on here that I think he's going to get paid after his service time that he has to do, and then he had a 2.82 ERA and a 4.4 WAR last year, and like I said, his hair is just, I don't know what it is, man. It's a man crush or something, but I love it. I like Valdez, man.
You take the lefty with the small glove, throw some Predator hair on him.
Yep.
All-star, 4 WAR, goes and drops it, shoves in the playoffs, World Series, Game 6 winner. Arguably could have made a play for the World Series MVP, if he had maybe pitched another inning or two in those games. So yeah, Framber coming in at number 10. For me, I had him a little bit lower on my list, but the Astros fan in me won't complain about having him on the top 10 here for Swing for Contact. Aid, anything to add?
Kind of touch on what you said. Personally, he's not a top 10 guy for me. I'll give it to him last year. He was a top 10 guy last year. I think there's going to be some regression, especially in the batting average department. I think a little more of the balls that get hit, they're gonna make it through. I don't see him keeping up this pace. Think the ERA is going to drop a bit too, and is there going to be a World Series run to make him look that good again? Possibly. I don't see it right now. I see the regression, but I'm fine with him at 10 for the group list.
The thing that I think kind of seals it for me, or why I'm okay with getting him in that spot, is his home run per 9 ratio is probably the lowest of anybody on Fangraph's top 15 from what I'm looking at. His projected home run per 9 at 0.63 is lower. Everyone else is sitting over 1 or around that 0.9 kind of spot. And then his ground ball rate is higher than everyone else that's in the top 20. And so a combination of keeping the ball in the park, keeping it on the ground, and letting that defense work behind him. I think he's still going to be a very good pitcher, and so I'm happy to see him in our top 10. Number 9, though, is another thing that I don't think Aiden's very happy about, but he'll get his moment here in a little bit. The guy that I think probably should have won the Cy Young 2 years ago, and then, Noah, you had him on your list too, Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Go for it.
I'll
take it, I guess. So we know that, after that Joe Girardi mess in Philly, how they picked it back up, and I think he was a pretty good big deal in that. He pitched in 26 games and posted a 12-7 record, and he's kept his ERA below 3 since 2020. And so, yeah, I have him. I guess we collectively have him at number 9. I just like the guy. He has a nice beard too, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
And, I think for Zach, he's probably expected to go another 200 innings again this year. He's been kind of a workhorse for that rotation. When he came over from the Mets, on his free agent contract, there was some question marks about like who this guy really is. And the last 2-3 years there in Philadelphia, man, he is really kind of coming to his own. I think he's definitely a top 20 guy. And for us on our 3 separate lists, he actually managed to crack the top 10. So Zach Wheeler at number 9, pitchers to watch out for in 2023. I think he does actually wind up having a better year than his teammate, which I'm sure we'll debate here in a little bit. And this one I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to let you two handle this one because, again, this one was not on my radar at all. But the 2 Rangers fans over here are pumping Houston propaganda.
Oh wait, are we okay? We're just going on. No words.
Well, I figured you just would talk about his teammate here in a little while, right?
Oh, I was going to use this time to crap on him, but yeah,
no, we're not going to crap on anybody in our top 10.
Okay.
That's not what the point of having a top 10 is.
We go to the next. We're good.
Take it away, Aiden.
All right, so Christian Javier, jeez, he's something to watch, man. His fastball, I mean, it's not off the radar, but it seems unhittable when I watch this guy pitch. I'd probably, if this was a personal list, I'd move him up 2 more spots. And I really think if Jacob deGrom gets injured, like a lot of people are suspecting, this is my dark horse Cy Young winner. Watched him for a bit of last year, and it all really started because I got him on the show, and I needed to get some stubs. But started like watching his games, and he's just unreal. His fastball is one of the best I've ever seen, like in my lifetime. Which I mean, it's not been as many as someone like Ramey, so I can't like say that for him. It just looks unhittable from a perspective of the bat, like where the batter is, and I hardly see anyone get contact on it. If they do, it may be a bomb, but we've got another guy on this top 10 list, same exact thing. I'll let one of y'all take it from here.
Aiden really pretty much summed it up. I think in y'all's first episode, I think I was driving to work listening to it, and he had mentioned that he was his dark horse to win the AL Cy Young, and I agree with him too. Just like he said, I think if DeGrom gets injured or can't stay healthy, God forbid, he's my top pick. So yeah, we'll let you can brag about your guy a little bit, Ramey. We'll let you have the floor.
When he first came up and he was kind of being moved around between like, is he a bullpen guy? Is he a starting pitcher guy? He really kind of came up with just 2 pitches, and he's still predominantly just fastball slider kind of guy, but he started mixing in that curveball a little bit, kind of developed that changeup some on the side, and the fact that he's got a 4-pitch mix now and really working. I think he worked like 160 innings last season. Still came out of the bullpen a couple times, but he probably does take that next step forward and probably earns a full-time rotation spot now, one would probably think, especially after his performance in the playoffs. Part of 2 no-hitters, obviously the one in Yankee Stadium in the summer and then the one in the Yankee Stadium in October. So there's no doubt when he's on, he's electric and hard to hit. So it'll be interesting to see if his other peripherals can keep up with the stuff, because the stuff is there. It's just a matter of can he keep the ball in the ballpark and limit the walks. So Javier coming in at number 8. This next guy was one of the big free agent signings. I think we were all kind of curious to see where he was going to land a few months ago, and he takes a trip up to the Northeast, AL East, and Carlos Rodon, the other lefty that's on this list.
Let me go for this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Arguably had a better year this year than last year. Even if it was quieter, I don't feel like I heard as much about him this year. But looking at these stats, I mean, his FIP dropped from a 2.65 to a 2.25. That's pretty crazy. He's got not arguably, he has statistically the best fastball in the majors. It is the most valuable fastball in the majors. And I'm ready to see him beside another great pitcher in Garrett Cole. And I could see their starting rotation being pretty freaking good this year, especially with him and Cole at the helm.
Yeah, it's crazy if him and Cole are a true 1-2. Nestor stays the guy that they think that he is. Severino's back for them, and he's got electric stuff. And then if a guy like a Frankie Montas can stay healthy and be a true 5 for him, like that rotation is scary as anybody's. So, um, obviously Rodon coming over from San Francisco, there was a lot of injury concerns with him in Chicago. He kind of took some bet on himself contracts over in San Fran, and I mean he's been absolutely unreal. And so I think his like right now Fangraphs projections has him as a top 3 guy. You know, they got him number 3 on their list, and so um, seeing where he's going to end up this time next year after a year in the AL East, I'm curious to see. But Carlos Rodon, no, we got anything to add on Rodon?
Man, Aiden, every day of this offseason, Rodon's gonna sign with the Rangers. Keep an eye out for Rodon. We're gonna get Rodon and DeGrom.
I didn't believe the DeGrom hype. So when we got DeGrom,
I did. I
understood.
did believe the DeGrom hype, but I didn't. We were pretty opposite on that. So that kind of made me mad when he signed to the Yankees because I mean, if you're not from the Bronx or mentally able to do things, you're a Yankees fan. So
Hey, I sent him a DM, so I did my work.
yeah, he sent him the DM.
I told Rodon that he better come to the Rangers.
But no, I pretty much agree with you, man. I think him and Cole can be a 1-2 punch kind of deal. Until of course they meet Houston in the playoffs. And then yeah, so I think he had a bet on himself year, these past 2, and he was one of the big sexier names in free agency this year. So I really wanted him to be a Ranger, but we'll see how he does in the AL East with the Yankees this year.
Cool. One step ahead of him is his new teammate. So talking about the 1-2 punch, right after Rodon, we're going right into Garrett Cole. Cole is one of those guys that he's going to give up the fly ball occasionally because of the ballpark he pitches in and the style that he pitches with. That high fastball, high spin rate guys, when they get barreled, ball flies. So that's where most of his runs come from. But as long as he's limiting those home runs, he's one of the best in the game from a strikeout perspective, from a control perspective, and has a lot of big game pedigree type moments. So Garrett Cole, hey, you want to take the reins on this one too?
Yeah, I think this is the most disrespected pitcher of my time, easily. Even on our post, I saw people questioning how high he was, acting like this guy. I believe he's led how many years in a row he's led the league in strikeouts. He's going to give up the fly ball.
Three in a row.
He's going to give up the fly ball. He's also getting strikeouts at an insane rate every year. He's arguably you could put him higher, but people aren't going to like him because of his attitude. They don't like the sticky stuff thing, and I get that. But if you just look at the stats, he's unreal. Someone that actually figured that out last year was Josh Naylor. After he did a little rock and the baby, and then he got his ass sent home. So,
yeah, me and Aiden were talking about it last night over an Xbox party, and I kind of sat there and like gave him an ear to hear him. He compared him because I told him, Ramey, I think you had sent me something where on Instagram in this past season where he had led the league in strikeouts and home runs given up as a starting pitcher. And I was just like, I was just making fun of him for that. And then he's like, well, it's the same thing as Trayvon Diggs having the most interceptions, but giving up the most yards as a cornerback. And I was like, I guess you're right. And so I like Garrett Cole. I liked him when he was in Houston. That Pittsburgh lineup, way back in the day was absolutely crazy. That those starting 5. But yeah, I think he does good in New York this year. We'll see.
Yeah, Garrett Cole with the long, luscious locks and the beard going and just like letting it loose was, I think, prime Garrett Cole. But, the thing you can count on, you're probably going to get 200 innings out of him. You're probably going to get 250 to 275 strikeouts, but he's just going to give up 25 home runs. And that short porch in right field is going to take some away from him, unfortunately. But that's when you sign there, that's kind of what you get the pitch to. But Fangraphs has him at 4. We've got him a couple spots higher, but Garrett Cole probably going to be another top strikeout guy, one of the best strikeout artists in the game right now. So we'll move right ahead to from one of the we had his teammate Carlos Rodon, one of the sexier pitchers on the market this past year, to probably the sexy icon of baseball coming up this next season. Where does Shohei Ohtani go after
Texas.
a top 5 performance as a pitcher this year? Shohei Ohtani is our next guy in line. Noah, take it away.
Comes to Arlington, man. It's gonna happen. No, I mean, we talked about it on the last episode. He does everything, and he's arguably the best at what he does in both categories with hitting and pitching. I think I had mentioned that he came to Texas. He came to Arlington this past season, and I got to watch people like, what's his name, Nick Solak, and other just no-name guys that just tore him up, man. That's when Cole Calhoun was having his month, and so just tearing him up, and that doesn't happen a lot, and I don't think it will either anymore this season. But I think he's always going to be in the conversation for a Cy Young, I think. And between DeGrom, Javier, and him, I think those are the top 3 for me, at least. So, like you said, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be in LA next year, or even probably at the deadline. So, I think we can go ahead and talk about.
Hey, check your mic real quick too, because you got it fuzzy on that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing about Otani, I think I actually had him a little bit lower on my list. I had him on my spot at 9, just because I think some of his innings pitch numbers, like he's not ever going to be that 200 inning guy. I don't think they're always going to be kind of a limiting factor on him on how many outs he's allowed to get. Which, outs are innings are outs, and outs matter, I think. But yeah, he's gonna have a pretty good ground ball ratio. He's gonna have a good swing and miss ratio. He's gonna give up kind of league average home runs. But for 170 innings, you can also probably expect 200 strikeouts, right? And so he's gonna get more than what he gives up for sure. And so I think just based alone on what he did last year on the mound, he's probably going to keep that same kind of pace, I think, for a few more years from the bump. So that'll be interesting to see. Aiden, you got anything to add?
I really like what he did last year, to be honest. I think the year prior, we were kind of seeing him come to light as a hitter. And I think that may be what people were kind of starting to expect. But then last year, he came out and was infinitely better as a pitcher than I think he was as a batter. And he was still good as a batter last year. You could argue that last year he was better than he was the year before because of these pitching stats. And I really liked him. You're gonna have to have a 6th guy in the rotation probably whenever Shohei's in your rotation, because like you said, he's not going to get as many innings or as many starts as other guys because of him being the DH on occasions and needing that rest. But he's an anomaly. I didn't want to butcher that word. I've never seen anything like it before. And it took a record-breaking performance from Aaron Judge to knock him off the MVP category. And I can definitely see a Cy Young in his future. I don't think it's this year, though.
That's fair. Next up on our list, the reigning AL Cy Young winner, going from Houston to New York, Justin Verlander, the pitching robot. Verlander coming off Tommy John last year, missed basically a year and a half because he had surgery the after the season of the shortened season, and so missing essentially 2 baseball seasons with rehab, came right back and somehow was better. When he goes in and throws another 200 innings type season, and his strikeout rate alone really kind of propelled Houston. I think they had the number 1 strikeout team in baseball last year, and a lot of that had to do with his K rate. What he was able to do on that side of the ball. Obviously, he's going to be a Met this year for the next 2 years, potentially 3. Somehow Tommy John didn't slow him down, so why would age 40 season slow him down? He wants to pitch till he's 45, and if he's going to pitch another Cy Young type season, why not let him ride? Noah, what you got on Justin Verlander?
He's a stud, man. He's with Kate Upton. Shoot, man. Nah, I'm good. Uh, I was happy to see him leave the AL West, just because, like you said, he won the Cy Young last year. I actually think Aiden. I think in our little group message thing, I think I said something about did he reject Houston's offer? Am I wrong about that, or I'm not sure. It might have been something. I might be making
So
something
there,
up.
I don't remember seeing like a public offer made.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But I know like him and Jim Crane, I'm sure talked and probably
Yeah.
tried to come to an agreement. But I don't think Crane was willing to go 40 million for 3 years, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where Steve Cohen was like 40 mil for 3 years, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, even when he was in Detroit, I loved Verlander, and I hated to see him go to Houston. But like you said, he came off that big injury, almost out a year and a half, and to come out and arguably have his best season, um, and lead Houston into the World Series. We'll see what he can do with Mad Max in New York. I think New York got a lot better than they did a lot worse this year, and let's see how he can do it being an old man. So
Anything to add?
I like Verlander. I'm a little lower on him than y'all, just because I'm not
was-
as big on ERA as y'all are.
He was one spot lower on the list, on your personal list, than the actual list we put
I know.
out.
I said I'm a little lower than y'all. A little.
yeah, you're shorter than me.
But I really feel like he should be lower on my list. I think I said that before. Like I have him a little higher because I know that y'all do enjoy Verlander. He's a really good pitcher. I mean, his fastball still just looks stupid. I mean, I every time I watched him pitch against us, it was no one was hitting it, and it was very frustrating because I was like, just swing at it, hit it, something. Stop letting it go past. And like, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch pitchers like that because you just feel hopeless as a fan watching your players look like the Queen City high school varsity team from the past couple of years.
Easy, shots fired. Calm down.
That's about all I got on Verlander, though.
All right, well, let's move into the top three here. My guy down in Miami, Sandy Alcantara, reigning NL Cy Young winner. I expect my boy Sandy to have another 225 innings pitched, and just drop it. Probably another 200 strikeout season. I think he's going to be another top 3 Cy Young kind of guy. And maybe one day, either with another team or maybe Miami will eventually say, hey, let's go put somebody around him to help him win some games.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that's going to stink about Sandy, is that he's going to never have a great win rate in Miami. But man, everything that he does on the mound suggests that he's the guy. He's the only pitcher on Fangraphs top 10 to have a 200 pitch or 200 inning expectancy, which, you know, he's just one of the few workhorses left in Major League Baseball. He's a guy that can just go and go and go and go. I had him at my personal 2. I'm okay with him at 3. So Sandy, what we got?
He kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. I wasn't hearing a lot about him the year before. Kind of started hearing about him a lot this year, especially with those complete games. I haven't seen a guy go deep like that in the games and completely finish out games in a while, and it was just natural for him. It felt like. I think there may be a little regression this year, just a little. He could stay the same. I don't think he's going to complete as many games, given how hard it is to do that now in this day and age. He's got some really good pitches. I think the Cy Young in the NL is wide open. Got him, Burns, Nola, in my opinion. Y'all probably have Wheeler up there. There's so many guys that could win it, but I wouldn't be surprised seeing him win it again.
Yeah, you mentioned the complete games. He had 6 last year, which was more than I think everyone else in Major League Baseball combined. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that was the number. Like, I know Fromber had 1, and that was like one of the few guys in the American League that had 1. Anymore. So
it's
the fact that he had 6 is kind of nuts. Thing.
No, yeah. No, he went 14-9 last year, if I'm not mistaken. And just like Shohei, you just gotta have good guys around him to get that win rate up. and I hate it that he's stuck in Miami. Who does he have? Jazz Chisholm.
New
Who
center
else?
field goal Glover, right?
Yeah, it's just like I hate it. I hate it for him that he's in Miami. I hope he goes somewhere. But yeah, I think he's like Aiden said. I think the NL Cy Young's wide open too, and I think he'll still be up there for the conversation this year. So yeah.
The one thing that's interesting about Sandy is that he's like the one guy on our list that doesn't really generate strikeouts as much as everybody else. Like his K rate is sitting around like probably 8.5 going into this year, where like everyone else that we're kind of talking about is like 10, 11. So the fact that he's able to keep the ball in the ballpark, lower home run rate than average, he doesn't really walk anybody, doesn't really strike anybody out, but he's just able to get that soft contact and just pitch around guys at such a high level is kind of crazy.
Dollar store Martin Perez. That's
okay.
What Martin does the best.
Great. Thanks for that. Let's go into number 2, your boy Corbin Burnes. Aiden, I'll let you lead it off.
So Corbin, in my opinion, is the only guy that touches DeGrom. That's just my opinion. I can understand why others may have different opinions. He's got possibly the best cutter I've ever seen. Dang good cutter. It changed his career, to be honest. It changed a lot about him. He's a guy that you could see going for Cy Young awards year after year for the next couple. I felt he was creeping up on Sandy a bit here when Sandy hit that rough patch, but then Corbin hit a very rough patch. His numbers started going down. They look a little worse than they probably would have had he not hit that rough patch. But I think he's going to get it back. I really wish he wasn't with the Brewers. I'd like to see him on another team, especially with the path I think they're kind of going down now. I don't think they're kind of in that competing patch. They're in such a weird division. But I'd love to see him come out and win another one because I love watching him pitch with all the pitches he does have.
Noah?
Yeah, he pretty much said it. I wouldn't say he's like up there for the Cy Young for me, but like you said, you kind of see why. He was voted number 1 pitcher for 2023 by Ben Verlander, I think, or the MLB website. I don't know. A lot of people are mad about that. And like Aiden said, hate to see him with the Brewers because you don't know what they're doing, man. And it's pretty much them in St. Louis in the NL Central. So we'll see if he can lead the charge in on that, maybe knocking them off. We'll see. But yeah, you can have the 4.
Okay. So yeah, I guess really, and this isn't really a knock. It's just kind of a side note on Burnes coming off the shortened year. He was held to an inning limit. He only pitched 167 innings that year after the shortened season, but he still put up a 7.5 WAR that year. Like, it was unbelievable how good he was. All of his peripherals were better than anyone could even imagine. He wound up winning the Cy Young with 167 innings, which good on you, man. Personally, I had Wheeler just because he had 200 innings and not that far off on the peripheral stuff. And then last year, Craig Counsell says, "All right, the capacitor's off. You're going," and he went out and dropped a 200 inning performance. And so, will he be able to generate another 200 inning performance again, and still be able to keep the ball in the ballpark, and keep the ground ball rate about where it was? Because the thing that strikes me a little weird with Corbin, and I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. I hope it was just kind of the thing that caused him to maybe slide on that Cy Young scale. The last 2 years, the shortened season, and then in 2021, he had a home run per 9 of like 0.3 and 0.38. And then last year, he had a home run per 9 of 1.02. So like his home run rate like tripled. He still had a great season, put up a 4.5 WAR and threw 200 innings and had over a 10 strikeout rate and all that good stuff. So like all the other peripherals were there. He just had a lot more home runs given up. And so that's maybe the one thing just to kind of watch out for. As long as that sinker cutter are doing its thing and he's wiping people out with that slider, it's not really going to matter, I don't think, too much. But just a little side note, Corbin, keep the ball in the ballpark a little bit more and go win you a Cy Young. Let's see what happens. And then our top pick for this year's pitcher, I'm just gonna sit back and let the fanboys come out for a minute.
I'm not a fanboy. That's Aiden, but
Jacob
So,
DeGrom, our number
I'll
one
start off
pick.
then.
Go for it, Aiden.
If this was any other pitcher that was the number one and they had gotten injured 2 years in a row, I'd be perfectly fine with putting someone else above them in the ranking. But it's not. It's Jacob DeGrom, and I mean, you can say fanboy and all that stuff. Look at what he does when he plays. No one comes near him. He he's got a fastball slider combo, almost unhittable. Those 2 years he won Cy Young, his numbers are just insane. Those 2 years, I 217 innings, a 1.99 FIP. I I haven't seen that in a while, especially when scrolling through this. He looked really good the year before this year, before he, eventually had that injury again. He was on pace to win another Cy Young. Last year is kind of a rough patch when he came out. He's getting hit. Dansby, I believe, hit a bomb off of him in that Braves series, and there was a lot of clowning going on. If he's healthy, he's there. And I don't think anyone's going to surpass him. But again, health is the problem. I can definitely see him missing a lot of games again, and it would upset me very much.
yeah, I was very hesitant. I don't know why, but I remember just thinking about like DeGrom coming to Texas. Finally, Chris Young came in and said, "We're going to do something. We're going to have a winning attitude now." And he goes and gets the best pitcher in baseball. I was kind of hesitant on it at first, paying him because I mean he has been injured a lot in his career. But I have on here when he's not injured, he is the best pitcher in baseball. No argument about it. And I went to a fan fest the other day in Arlington, a couple weeks ago, I think, and stood in line for an hour until they finally cut it off. And I'm not kidding you, the thing was wrapped around the whole stadium for a DeGrom autograph. So he's already very loved in Texas. I did get to see his face though. That was pretty cool. But I think if he stays healthy, he's a Cy Young winner. Hopefully we can get this thing turned around in Texas because it's been since 2016. We just have not been good at all. And so, yeah, hopefully he can bring that Cy Young award to Texas, and hopefully we can raise up a freaking World Series trophy here in these next 5 years.
There you go. Yeah, just looking at his numbers, obviously from 17, 18, and 19, that 3-year stretch when he was putting up 200 inning seasons with the crazy strikeouts and the crazy BABIPs and ERAs and FIPS. Like, I mean, there's no one better when he's right. The last 2 years, 68 innings in 2020 in the shortened season, whatever. 92 innings in 21 and only 64 this past year. And so, there's going to be concerns like we've all kind of gone over. But at the same time, in those innings, a K rate over 14, like stupid. An ERA in 2021 during those 92 innings of 1.08. Like he had a four almost 5 WAR season in 90 innings 2 years ago. Like there's no doubt when this guy is right, he's the best. He is going into age 35 season. That's a little concerning, I think, for some. And we'll see how this contract plays out over the long term. But I think you still have at least a few more years of really dominant DeGrom when he's healthy. So yeah, look for DeGrom to be right there in that AL Cy Young contention. I think probably a good aiming point for him would be 25 to 27 games started, 180 innings. I think if you guys get 180 innings of DeGrom, you're very happy with the production you're going to get out of those 180 innings. Obviously, the key there is getting to that point. First step is probably to get to 100, and then let's go for 150. So yeah, Jacob DeGrom rounds out our top 10 for our starting pitchers for this season. Real quick, let's just touch up on some of our honorable mention guys. I know, Aiden, you've got a couple guys at the bottom of your list that you probably want to talk about real quick, so I'll just give you the floor and let you go for a second.
I'm going to start off with Aaron Nola. Personally, I think Aaron Nola is better than Wheeler. I think he's more there for – I can't think of the word for this. I think he's gonna be the guy that picks it up more. And I think he was the one last year, right? I didn't watch a lot of Phillies games.
I mean, depending on it was 1A, 1B, depending on just
1A,
whose
1B.
turn it was in the rotation. Like it wasn't really like a 1 or a 2, I don't think.
I just personally got him higher. Wheeler's so low on the top 10 list. I feel like it's not that big of a thing to switch them out. I like Nola's stuff better. I like kind of where his career is looking to head towards. He's still a damn good pitcher, but I don't think he's as good as Nola right now and won't be in the future.
Sure. I mean, honestly on Fangraphs, they're both top 15 guys on their projections for this year. So I think that's very reasonable for them both to beat that top 15 at the end of the year. Who else you got?
I've also got Strider. God, what a season for Strider. He really came out and he's shoving almost every start he had. He's trying to rock the Robbie Ray tight pants. He's got the stash too, so it's looking nice. He's looking to become the ace there over Freed, and I could see that happening soon. He had a rough playoff game. I thought they brought him back from injury way too early. I believe that home run he gave up to Reese Hoskins with that pretty cool bat spike was the lowest fastball thrown of his career, and I think he threw 2 of the lowest fastballs of his career on that plate appearance. Definitely see him taking that rollover. I could see him getting into the top 6 next year. He's really good. And then I guess my last one was Glasnow.
Yep.
I'm so ready to see him come back, even though I hate the Rays. He's a dang good pitcher.
Philip.
Huh?
Tell him Philip, man.
I believe it's
Trying to keep our
Tommy
PG
John.
rating.
Yeah, sorry. I believe he had Tommy John, and Tommy John usually makes pitchers come back better, and he was already pretty dang good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the goal for Glasnow, kind of the same thing with DeGrom, right? Like, hey, get him to 100 innings. Okay, now let's get him to 150, and once we get past that 150 mark, let him ride. But I think he's definitely a top 20 guy, and as long as his innings kind of comes in, like he'll be a good guy to fall onto. Noah, you had 2 guys that got left off, and I had one of them on my spot too. Max Scherzer and Shane Bieber. Why do you like those guys?
Oh man, I like Max Scherzer because man, his eyes look cool, dude. Nah, I'm playing, man. How old is he? I forget. Can we get a? I don't know. Anyways, I know he's getting up there.
Yeah, Mad Max is going into his age 38 season.
Yeah, just like his teammate Verlander that's coming in. No, he's been hurt a couple times these past couple years. I like the guy, especially when he was in Washington, and got to see him celebrate in downtown Houston when they hoisted up that World Series trophy.
Yeah,
I'm just playing. And then I like Shane Bieber. I like him in Cleveland. I like Justin Bieber too. I think it's pretty cool they have the same last name. And then I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Yu Darvish, man. He's not top 10, obviously, but even from when he was in Texas, I've always been a big fan. Got a 6-year extension today with the Padres.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a crazy thing to see how that ages on him, because I think like he's gonna be like 42 when he comes off that, right? Like
I think it's set through 2028.
Yeah, that's a big extension.
Yep.
Real quick, this pains me to say a little bit just because I'm a Houston guy, but over in Dodgerland, man, I don't think this guy gets enough credit for what he's done the last couple of years. Urias over in that Dodger rotation, I think he finished top 2. I think he was the runner-up for the NL Cy Young this past year, or he was number 3. Man, just his stuff and his poise on the mound for being a young guy. I actually had him number 7 on my personal top 10. I think he's a guy that gets overlooked a lot. And then another guy that I was debating on, can I fit him in somewhere? Who do I leave out to get this guy on? Dylan Cease, like the way he strikes people out and his K rate with the White Sox is insane. The thing that's gonna kind of mess with Cease a little bit is that home run rate. He's a guy that's over that 1.1 per 9. But if he could just get his ground ball rate a little bit higher, maybe keep that ball in the ballpark a little bit more, his strikeout rate, like he could very easily get to a 220, 250 kind of strikeout season, compete with some of those upper echelon guys. So Urias and Cease for my 2 honorable mentions. But enough about the starters. It's time to get into the bullpen a little bit. We got 5 bullpen guys here. And we'll just start at number 5 and work our way down. Obviously, all 3 of us have more of our eyes on the AL West, just because of the ball that we normally watch. This guy he's preseason ranked pretty high by Fangraphs too. Aiden, what do you got on Andres Munoz from Seattle?
He came kind of out of nowhere last year. Really good fastball velocity. Had a pretty good ERA last year. I really like his xERA, 1.84. It's pretty nice. In 65 innings pitched, 64 games, he had 4 saves, 2 wins, 5 losses, which I don't really credit wins and losses to pitchers. He looks really nice, and I'm ready to see like him continue because, like I said, that was kind of the first year we've really seen him as being that guy. I think he can improve on some of these numbers. I also think he can improve on his walks per 9. Those are kind of high, which among closers, relievers, it's usually going to be up there. But I really feel like if he can get that a little bit lower, it's going to look nice. He's going to continue to be a top 5 guy. He's going to keep shoving.
No, anything to add?
No, he pretty much summed it up. I don't want to see him a lot against the Rangers, but I know it's going to happen. So, see if he can get those innings pitched just up a little bit more this year. See what he can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, he came up with the Padres in 19 and had like I think just a couple short stints, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't pitch at all in the 2020 season. He had 1 game in 2021, and then yet last year just broke out and became like one of the guys. It was like him and Seawald like were closing out every game, it seemed like, for Mariners, which honestly is probably why they were so good in 1-run games for that last year, because those 2 guys kind of were locking it down. But yeah, if last year was the breakout, what's he got next? Like, what's his next step in his progression? He's only going to be a 24-year-old guy, coming off of 1 full year, so he's a guy to really watch out for. He very well could be one of those relievers that eclipses that 2 WAR kind of mark. Usually, if you're getting 2 WAR a season as a reliever, you're doing something right. And so we've got the righty from Seattle as our number 5. Going into number 4, staying in the AL, going into the Central Division. One of my favorite guys to watch, the 100-mile-an-hour split finger, Duran from Minnesota. I think he's one of the reasons why I've actually got Minnesota to finish number 1 in the AL Central. I think between some of their signings that they brought in and having him take that next step forward is going to really elevate the Twins game. I think from a home run perspective, he's a guy that limits the ball from leaving. He's got under a 1 per 9 on that end. Expected to be around a 2.6 ERA and a 2.5 FIP. Fangraphs has him at 1.2 WAR expected, but his strikeout rate off of his flames, like he just paints with fire, and it's incredible to watch some Duran strikeout highlights. One of my favorite things is looking at Pitching Ninja and just seeing, okay, when's the next time I get to see my guy from the Twins pitch? You guys got anything to add on that one?
Not really. You pretty much got it all. Really like his stuff, like you said.
Splinker, pretty nasty, man.
Also like how coming from AAA to
Pretty much summed it up.
to the majors, it wasn't really like any real fall off. It didn't feel like.
No. Like, honestly, it almost felt like he may have got better. And so he's another guy that I think broke out last year, and so seeing what he can do coming into this season will be a lot of fun. But here's one of the first guy that we all 3 had in our top 5. Aiden, I'll let you take the floor on this one to start off because this is one of your guys. Josh Hader over in San Diego. What you got?
Josh Hader has past couple of years he's been known as kind of the top guy. Edwin Diaz kind of took that spot from him this year. So he started off okay. Then he had that kind of rough stretch near the end of his tenure with the Padres. Everyone was like, haterade, haterade. And then you didn't hear anything but just straight crap because he was giving up a lot of home runs and hits that he just shouldn't have been. He gets traded to the Padres. I messed that up earlier. Brewers, end of his Brewers run. Gets traded to the Padres. First couple of outings, not looking good. Looking like something's wrong with him. Then all of a sudden, he completely turns it around. And I mean, he just started shoving. Looked like top three reliever for the end of that Padres run. Did really good for.
Uh-oh. Well, this is awkward.
You good? I mean, he doesn't have his headset on.
Noah, say something.
Something.
Aiden.
Something.
We're on the blooper reel. All right, here we go. Back into it. Continue your Josh Hader talk.
You didn't pick up any of it?
No, I think we got most of it. I thought we were getting close to the ending of your Josh Hader talk.
We were. Okay, so his numbers were really skewed from his first couple appearances with the Padres. Like I said, he did really good in the playoffs for them. If it wasn't for those first couple appearances, his numbers would have backed up that. Honestly, in that stretch, he may have been the best reliever for that last stretch. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, he pretty much said it. I remember seeing this guy get a lot of hate when during his little stint in San Diego for that period of time. I liked the guy. I liked when he was in Milwaukee. He was the only player I knew on their team. That's probably why. So, yeah, we'll see what he can do in 2023. So.
Fun fact for you: when the Ashes were in the tail end of their kind of like rebuild back up, he was one of the pieces that we traded to Milwaukee to get a few more young guys, and then shipped off those guys for other young guys. But Hader is one of the guys. I'm like, man, I wonder what that could have been like if we had held on to him in Houston. All right, so back into the AL we go. Another just flamethrower in the AL Central. Emmanuel Clase, the guy that throws 100-mile-an-hour cutters at your face, and then they break into the zone. You're like, I don't know what to do with that. Aiden, you got anything for Cleveland Guardian fans?
Yeah. So I know earlier I said that Corbin Burns has the best cutter in the league. I'm going to stand by that, but a close second is probably Clase. He absolutely
1A, 1B.
that thing. Oh my goodness. What was he's getting like 101. I don't know if he's at 102 yet, but he just absolutely rears back and throws that thing. And guess what? He used to be a Ranger, but we screwed that up because we somehow screw up things like that. He was good last year. I think people kind of slept on him this year, and then he came out and just dominated. 2.4 WAR for a reliever.
It's crazy.
It's pretty dang good. It's really dang good. He's going to be in this. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I just saw his saves. He had 42 saves, and the other three guys we talked about, they maybe had 20 combined. It's Clase, man.
Yeah, he's the true closure that's on this list. It's kind of funny because like saves are becoming this weird thing where like, they're not necessarily telling of who's the guy that they trust with the ball at the end of the game necessarily, but who they trust like just to finish one out. And sometimes high leverage relievers are more important than the closer. But this dude can do both. I mean, his walk percentage, 3.7%. Versus a strikeout ratio of 28.4 this past year. Fangraphs has him like losing some of that walk rate where it's going to almost double on him. They expect him to walk a lot more people than he did last year, but still keep a 2-WAR season. Like that's how good this guy really is. Is like, hey, he could walk twice as many guys and still get 2-WAR out of the relief spot. So yeah, he's just absolutely gross. No, you got anything to add?
Yeah, man, should be a Ranger, but we traded him for the world's best pitcher, Corey Kluber, which I don't even understand why in that type of.
Oh, that was that trade?
Yeah, we sent Delino, the Shields, and him for.
Warning to the West, boys. Hashtag.
Yeah, man. Just God, dude, it makes me so mad because we could really use him in our bullpen right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, just like you said with Hader, you never know.
You never
Just
know.
like the Dodgers didn't know with Jordan. Only 24 years old with 42 saves last year is ridiculous to me. But yeah, gonna keep deucing it for the Guardians and probably gonna win their division again this year. So
It'll be interesting to see. And then last but not least, our number one reliever for this upcoming season. Get your trumpets out. It's 28-year-old, 5-year extension, New York Met, Edwin Diaz. Give me the rundown on Edwin.
I'll take it. So I was looking on Fangraphs. Had back-to-back seasons with 32 saves. Posted a 17.13 strikeout per nine, and had a 1.31 ERA. Which I'm a big ERA guy, so I think that's ridiculous. Like you said, the trumpets when they start playing, Mets fans are happy because they know the game's most likely a win after that. I like Edwin Diaz. I like a lot of guys on this list, obviously, but Edwin Diaz is a good guy. I like him.
It's kind of funny because like he's really just kind of a 2-pitch pitcher. Like he's fastball slider, and that's really all he does. But when his fastball is that gross and his slider's that gross, it's kind of really all you need, I guess. In the shortened season, 2020 had that 17.5 K rate, had a 1.75 ERA. 2021, kind of a weird season for him. Still pitched 62 innings. Still had a crazy K rate. Like he was still, his K per nine was still 12.78. It just wasn't 17. And then last year, a 3-WAR season, 62 innings pitched, 17.1 on that K per nine, a .4 home run per nine the last 2 years. Man, it doesn't really get a whole lot better than that. The last 2 seasons combined for 5 WAR, the dude is insane. I think it's awesome that as a reliever, he's able to pull a 5-year, $102 million extension with the Mets. Even kind of before all the mega contracts were coming out, like he was kind of the first one to really sign in the offseason. So the fact that he kind of got that spot, I think makes a lot of sense. He'll probably be that top guy for a couple of years to come. Aiden, you got anything to add?
He's another guy with low FIP, really low FIP, 0.90. Strikeout rate was insane last year, and he's trying to cement his walkout song with his skill. He's trying to cement that into conversations with one of my personal favorites, Hell's Bells and Enter Sandman. I mean, that's how iconic it's gotten in New York, and I've never seen so much coverage over a walkout song like his because of how dang good he was last year. If he continues on this pace, man, is it going to be a joy to watch. Even though I don't like the Mets, that's all. Sorry.
There's
Shout
one
out the
guy.
Mets, bro.
There's one guy that was not on this list that made Noah's list that we got to talk about real quick. The honorable mention, I guess, in the room. Was not really on my radar at all for this, but I've gotta let the reasoning out. And so Blue Jays rejoice, Jordan Romano. Noah, talk to me about Romano real quick.
Well, we talked about it. The porn stash, man, it's killer, dude. I mean, if I was a better, I'd be shaking in my boots, man. But besides that, I just one of the things that stuck out with him for me when I still had hope for the Rangers last season. I think they went to Toronto for the first series of the year, and we got up on them pretty big. I remember Brad Miller hitting that leadoff home run to start the year off. And then I just see this guy, Romano, come out and just shut us down, man. Like 3 straight games, I'm pretty sure. I was just like, who is this dude, man? Like I'm no like slack to him, but I've never heard of this guy before. And so I've kind of kept my eye on him ever since that first series. I like him. Hate the Blue Jays. Sorry, Toronto, but you know why I hate you. Um, so yeah, hopefully we don't meet them in the playoffs this year because we'll probably lose. But anyways.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, that concludes our top pitchers for this 2023 season. Our top 10 starters to watch out for, plus honorable mentions. Our top 5 relievers, plus an honorable mention. Shout out to my guy Ryan Presley with his 0 ERA in the postseason last year. Hope you do it again, Bubba. And I guess we'll get ready to do some deep dives into some teams maybe next week. Start looking at some division projections and try to figure out where we think each team's going to land on a win total. So that'll be a fun topic, I'm sure. We'll make sure that Aiden has his own box that he gets to play in for his division. Yeah, we'll have Aiden's corner up there. Any last words?
I think I'm good.
Aiden, got anything?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, wait. Hey, man. Oh, this isn't baseball. Go Chiefs, bro. Philly's losing. I'm sorry, but go Chiefs.
Go
Anyways.
Chiefs.
Please, Philly. If Philly loses this, first of all, we'll get to see the world come to an end as they will burn down everything, and the city may have to be nuked. But I would enjoy Philly winning way more than my division rival and the Chiefs.
That's fair. Aiden, show your eyes real quick. You've had your bill down the entire time.
Aiden, show us what's behind the green M&M that's blocking the rest of your room, bro. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny.